going into sort of that further expansion part, um, can you talk a little bit about the exploration side of thing? I mean, you're talking about the reserves, and is there a pretty robust exploration program around Silvercorp as well?
Yeah, we've going back to really the spring of 2020, we've reinvigorated our programs and expanded them for two reasons. And this is mostly focused at Ying, but also to a lesser degree at the GC mine. But at Ying, we've got over 70 rigs drilling currently, and that's across the 7 different mining areas that we're currently operating in. And really, there's 2 main focuses. One is to look at finding more of the traditional high-grade silver, lead, zinc mineralization, and really trying to find higher grades and also material that's close to our existing development. And the real reason for that is that the more of that we find, we get those higher grades, and we also get to bring it into production with less development costs. So that's one element of the drill program. But the other element is actually looking at something that we've recently uncovered, and that is, Ying, in terms of our mines, has historically generated some splashy numbers in terms of gold results. It's never been quite reconciled. Where did this gold come from? And the focus really has just been on mining these silver, lead, zinc veins. In 2020, we had what we call a bit of a discovery within our existing mines of a structure that we think is the host for that gold mineralization. And so we're really putting a lot of effort into identifying where it is, how much of it is there, and can it be mined and add to our production.
So again, going back to a layman question, to me, 70 drill rigs, that seems like that seems like a heavy drilling program in comparison to other operations I've talked about. So is that just me? That is a lot of drills to have on the back of the ground.
It's a lot of drills and a lot of meters. And I think, coming back to your earlier question, it's because of that management process and systems that we have in place that we're able to manage that level of activity and the amount of information that's being generated by that.
Yeah, I mean, it must just be staggering and it's going through all these. So, like, at what point? Just a little technical question. Like, at what point do you get the information to start? Because it has to go through, all these. You got 70 drills. They're all taking samples, and then it gets looked at and goes through and through. When do you start looking at that? What the activity of those? What's the sort of the final result of what you get to look at?
Yeah, I mean, what we get to see is really what the market gets to see, which is a collection. Because we're not doing it just a drill hole by drill hole. While we have some really exciting highlights for a company like ours, some of those highlight numbers don't necessarily mean a lot. But when we've got a package of results and we can compile them in and put them out and hopefully have some context, is when we see them. And really, the process here is to get those drills, generate that data, put it together, and then the significance will be when people then can sit down and run the calculations to say, okay, all right, well, we've been mining, so that's been reducing our reserve and resource base, but now we've been drilling. What do the results of the drilling mean in terms of new additions to the reserve and resource base? Let's wrap a calculation around that. Let's put that out so that the market can understand it. And in some cases, that might mean, well, is there an adjustment to the mining plan based on how much material, the grade we're expecting to generate, or as I mentioned, if we are able to produce the ores from these gold-bearing zones, we're looking to report on some gold production here in the future.
I feel like you could do just a full, well, definitely could do a full interview on just reviewing that type of data and how it's all compiled. I never know what interests the audience. For me, I find that stuff very interesting. But in the interest of time, I also want to pivot into, what about global activity? Is this, these 2 mines, the operation, you got 70 drills. Is that where Silvercorp is looking to keep going, or are there investments in other mines or expansions and acquisitions and that type of thing?
Well, that is a key element of our growth strategy. And so within our existing claims, we have opportunity to grow, and that's why we are drilling. We've identified some other satellite deposits, and we've acquired 2 of them. that we're looking to bring in, and to factor in this growth from that district, we're looking at expanding our processing facilities.
This is all the same area then?
All in the same area. But at the same time, we've got a very active review program looking elsewhere in China, but then also around the world, looking at silver and then also gold projects.